All right, why don't we go ahead and get started? There's no objection. All right, I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order and start by asking if you would take roll, please.
Board Member Brisky.
Present.
Board Member Mercier as absent. Board Member Ridley.
Present.
Board Member Roth.
Present.
Board Member Freeman. Council Member Anderson.
Present.
Council Member Woodward.
Present.
Mayor Sierra. Vice Chair Hubenick. Chair Moore.
Present. All right, thank you. We'll start with item 3A, approval of the minutes from the August 8th meeting. Can I get a motion to approve?
I move.
I get a second. Thank you. Any corrections or comments? All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. Do we have anyone for the public forum tonight?
No, we do not.
Thank you. All right, then we will move into a new business item 5A, an agreements with Bonsai Apartments.
Yeah. So those of you online, I don't think you can see me, but I'm Stephanie Ellis. I'm an engineer with the Englewood Utilities Department, and I'll be presenting on the Bonsai Flats development agreements. To provide some background on this development, the Bonsai Flats is a proposed affordable apartment complex in the city of Sheridan, located at 3750 South Federal Boulevard. The water for this development would be served by Denver Water, and sanitary sewer services would be provided by Sheridan Sanitation District number 1, hereby referred to as Sheridan number 1. Looking closer at where this development is located, you can see it's located off Federal Boulevard, and the McBroom Ditch runs through the southwest corner of the property. There are 3 agreements that are being proposed that we'll discuss today. The first is the McBroom Ditch temporary construction easement. The next is a sewer connection agreement. And the last is an amendment to the connector district agreement. And we'll dive into these in the next few slides. To provide some background on the McBroom Ditch, the McBroom Ditch is a pipe ditch that runs from Bear Creek to the Union Avenue pump station. It's owned by the McBroom Ditch Company, of which Englewood is the president and the major shareholder. And then there are also several other shareholders that part of the McBroom Ditch Company. In order to serve this development, the developer is proposing on installing an 8-inch water main below the McBroom Ditch. The separation between this proposed water main and the McBroom Ditch would be 2 feet. And our staff would be coordinating with the developer and their contractor on this work to ensure the McBroom Ditch is protected during the construction and installation of the water main. And the contractor installing it would be responsible for any damage that occurs to the McBroom Ditch. Denver Water will ultimately be owning and operating this water main, while the developer is the one responsible for installing it. And Denver Water, within their easement agreement with the property owner, acknowledges the McBroom Ditch in this crossing. We are proposing a temporary construction easement between the McBroom Ditch Company and this developer. This temporary construction easement would set the terms and conditions for this construction and also provide the developer and their contractor with access to the McBroom Ditch easement. This temporary construction easement was approved by the McBroom Ditch shareholders in a meeting on September 8th. To provide some background on the sewer side in the connector district, so there are 19 sanitation districts that feed into South Platte Renew. 13 of them are within Englewood service area. Englewood has a standard connectors agreement with each of these connector districts, and our agreement with Sheridan number 1 was executed in 2013. And that agreement allows for wastewater to be treated by South Platte Renew. There are two proposed agreements for sewer services for this development. The first is a sewer connection agreement. This agreement would be between Valley Sanitation District and Sheridan Number 1, both of which are connector districts of Englewood. This agreement would set the terms and conditions for Valley to accept wastewater from Sheridan Number 1 and also increase Sheridan Number 1's capacity in Valley's interceptor. So the flows from this development would be going into the Sheridan Number 1 collection system and then into Valley system and then to South Platte Renew. And Englewood system would not be impacted at all by this development. This agreement Englewood would be consenting to between Sheridan and Valley, and we would be consenting to Sheridan Number 1 expanding their service area to include the Bonsai Flats development. The second agreement part of this is an amendment to the Sheridan Number 1 connector district agreement, and it would be an update to Exhibit A, which is the map showing the service area for Sheridan Number 1, and they're expanding that service area to incorporate the Bonsai Flats development. Does anyone have any questions?
So when you say there's no impact, then either inflow of water and outflow of water. So either end, there's no impact.
Correct.
It doesn't
Yeah,
change
so-
our water flow.
Yeah, none of it goes, we're not serving them with water, and none of the wastewater is going into our collection system.
Okay.
What serves that, I'm sorry if I missed this, what serves that property today? If Sheridan Number 1's expanding to cover it, where does it fall on before that happens?
So that's a good question. I think right now they're still on, so as far as water, I believe they're still Denver water. Sewer services, so this property used to be a nursery, so I don't know.
It's the old bonsai nursery.
Yeah, it is the old Bonsai nursery. So I'm not entirely sure where those sewer flows went. I think it's possible they still went to Sheridan Number 1, but they have to, right now they need more capacity in order to take these additional flows.
So it may just be we're agreeing to expand the capacity more so than expand the coverage?
Yeah, we're agreeing to expand the service area to include Bonsai. We don't know where they're, if they had sewer service, where it might have gone prior to that. We can certainly find that out. But the developer approached Sheridan Number 1 to see if they could be included into their district, because it would be, multifamily. There's 100 and some odd apartments, so they needed full service for sewer treatment.
Yes, I'm not sure it matters to our ultimate decision. It's just kind of curious. In terms of impacting, just to make sure I'm clear, it impacts us in the sense that it's that much more into our facility, but it's not impacting the direct Englewood collection. Is that what we were saying before?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we coordinated with SPR engineers to make sure that they have excess capacity by quite a bit, so they can easily treat this flow. So between the agreement of Sheridan Number 1 and Valley's interceptor is that pipe basically that takes their wastewater to South Platte Renew, and they have plenty of capacity to absorb this development as well.
The other question I'll ask is this all seems very standard and routine. Nothing particularly unusual here. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, really, they're just Sheridan Number 1's looking to us so that we understand that this is now going to South Platte Renew, this additional development, as well as they've expanded their service area. So in our standard connector district agreement, the only thing we're amending with this decision here today is replacing an old Exhibit 1 that showed their smaller service area with a new Exhibit 1 that adds that Bonsai area.
Any other questions from anybody? All right. Then can I get a motion to recommend that City Council approve by ordinance water and sewer board agenda items 5A1 through 5A3 as written?
So moved.
Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to ask properly for any more questions, but I think we're good. So motion carries. If no one's got anything more to say. All right, 5B.
This one's also me. We're gonna be discussing Littleton City Ditch Crossing Agreement. So the city of Littleton owns an existing sanitary sewer main that runs underneath the city ditch. This sewer main is approximately 5.5 feet below the city ditch. And the city of Littleton, through their normal capital improvement program, is looking to replace this sanitary sewer main in kind. So it would be the same size and same place. That 5.5 feet of separation would remain with this proposed replacement of the sanitary sewer line. Through this work, the city of Littleton will be coordinating with us, and we will be out inspecting this work to ensure the city ditch is protected and they're using best practices during construction. Littleton's contractor will also be responsible if there is any damage to the city ditch through this work. Taking a closer look at this, you can see, so this crossing is located near West Littleton Boulevard and South Bemis Street within the city of Littleton. City ditch is the blue line and Littleton's sewer line is the black line, and that crossing that exists now is shown in that green box. There are 2 agreements required to allow Littleton to do this work. The first is a city ditch crossing agreement. This agreement defines the terms and conditions for the crossing after construction takes place. It's more of a long-term agreement, similar to a license agreement. The second agreement is the city ditch temporary construction easement, and this allows Littleton and their contractor to access the city ditch easement to complete this work. Both of these agreements were approved by the Littleton City Council last week. Does anybody have any questions?
All right. Again, this looks like a pretty standard request and nothing particularly unusual. Is that correct?
Correct. It's standard practice to have these sorts of agreements when there's any sort of crossings of our infrastructure, particularly our well water infrastructure.
If there's no further questions, can I get a motion to recommend that City Council approve by ordinance Water Sewer Board Agendas 5B, 1, and 2 as written?
So moved.
I'll second.
Perfect. Any further comments? All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. 5C.
Okay, that one is mine. So this item is amendment to the WIFIA water loan agreement. So just as a reminder, the WIFIA loan we closed on last year was $60.5 million for both water and sewer infrastructure. The sewer loan closed on April 26th, and then the water fund loan closed on May 26th of last year. So we're really only looking at an amendment to the water loan agreement tonight. The loan amount was about $38.4 million, and that included 8 work packages that ranged in work at process improvements at the Allen Water Treatment Plant, EINC improvements there, meter modernization, portion of the lead reduction program, and then missing the next one because it's, or improvements to space, so the utilities operations complex. The substantial completion for all of those projects is December 30th, 2027. So as we've been ramping up capital and projects are moving forward, we realized that there were 2 potential projects that we could have included in the WIFIA loan because they're similar to what's already included in work packages. So that's work package 5, the metering modernization. We've decided to add in the advanced metering infrastructure project, which is replacing all customer meters with improved and modern meters that is standard practice these days. So that was not included in the original description. The original description talked about just the flat rate conversion, so flat rate to metered service and replacing meters at commercial locations. So since this AMI started moving quicker, we requested from WIFIA to add it into work package 5, and they were agreeable to that. And then the other project description we're modifying is the utilities operations complex. So as we discussed during the budgeting process, we're revamping that project a little bit so that we can make space improvements at the Allen Water Treatment Plant for operations staff, potentially put in another building there for engineering staff, and then making improvements at the service center for our distribution and collection staff. So again, WIFIA was agreeable to change that project description slightly so that the work that we plan to start this year, which is adding offices to the existing building at the Allen Water Treatment Plant, can be included in that work package. So the budget remained unchanged for the operations complex, that work package 8, but we did add 2.4 million to the metering modernization line item within the loan. So the nice thing about the loan is that if there's certain projects that either take longer than expected or get pushed out for other reasons, we can take this 2.4 that we've added and use that as a part of the WIFIA loan. So we can draw on the WIFIA loan once that project is complete, and we're anticipating starting it later this year. And then the update for the construction schedule in the amendment really just refines our start dates and end dates for all of the work packages to align with what our planning has been over the last year, and extends out most of them to hit that substantial completion date of December 2027. So with that, I'll open it up for questions.
I have a question. On the 2.4 million, is that added principal to the WIFIA loan, or so where is that coming from? Did we have a contingency in there for things like this then?
So we don't. So it's not added. The loan amount in the WIFIA agreement stays the same at the $38.4 million. But because there's these 8 work packages that each have a cost associated with it, we can move around those funds within it. So if we decide on, for example, the EI&C line item, not to spend those funds that way, then that 2.4 million is absorbed into the loan amount. And so with WIFIA, there is a matching fund. So again, we would balance the cash flow throughout the next 4 years to ensure that we're not overspending what we thought we would related to the WIFIA loan.
Okay.
Other questions? And Sarah, keep me honest, but I like to point out that because the staff got this WIFIA loan secured some time ago, the interest rate was locked in before whatever the 3 dozen increases that have happened since. So we're able to do this, continue to do this at a very favorable rate.
That is correct. Both of the loans, the sewer loan and the water loan, closed at less than 3% interest. That is locked in.
Nice. Great. Could I get a motion to recommend that City Council approve by ordinance a WIFIA water loan agreement amendment with the EPA to update the project description, construction schedule, and budget?
I'll move.
Second.
All right. And any further discussion? All right. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, we'll continue our progress through the alphabet with 5D.
All right, so that's Adam Marquez, another project manager.
Yes, so for those of you online, I'm also off screen in Wizard of Oz mode, if you will. So my name is Adam Marquez. I'm engineering supervisor for Englewood Utilities, and this item is the lead reduction program potholing contract. So this is a refresher slide of our overall lead reduction program schedule. We are currently in the inventory development phase, And as part of that, we're required to do physical verification of lead service line materials for about 370 homes. So that's the contract that we're looking to bring today. In addition, we're hosting a public meeting next month to, the first of this lead reduction program to, let the public know more about the meeting. That meeting is being advertised on our website. It's also in the Denver Post, and customers will be receiving a mailer shortly. We also just launched a lead reduction program website this week that you can find on Flow It Forward. The website has an inventory map where customers can look up their service line material by punching in their address and get more information about the program overall. So as I mentioned, we're required to do physical verification of service lines. And in working in conjunction with the CDPHE as a stakeholder, we were able to reduce the number of homes from about 500 to 370. And that work is expected to take about 3 months this fall. Additionally, working with CDPHE, our requirement now is to get at least 2 points of physical verification. So one on the utility side, that will be a pothole. The other will either be a pothole on the owner's side or a visual inspection inside the home. So customers will be offered an acknowledgement form that they can sign before we do work on the property. And any home where we do find a lead service line as part of the inventory effort, those customers will be offered a Brita filter picture upon request. So to select a contractor, we issued a request for proposal to our pre-qualified contractors. We used our construction services statement of qualifications that identified 3 pre-qualified contractors for potholing. Of the 3, C&L was unable to respond to this as they are doing lots of other work with the city, such as the valve replacement project. So we ended up selecting Global Underground Corp due to their unit price, their total price, and good references and good experience directly with us at utilities as well. So their contract will be the 370 homes as mentioned, site restoration for their potholing efforts, record keeping and quality control to make sure it's in compliance with CDPHE requirements. And we don't expect a lot of this, but minimal traffic control as needed. So their base price was about $272,000. We added a 10% damage allowance in case during their potholing they damage a service line. They'll have crews ready to repair it on the spot. So their total contract amount would be about $299,000. In addition, we're requesting a staff management contingency of 10%. So total project authorization cost of $329,000. Questions?
I had a question. Is staff managed a contingency? Is that, who gets that?
So it's not in their contract. We manage it as utility staff, and we would issue a change order. And it would be essentially for unknown unknowns, so the damage allowance is for if they do hit a line, contingency is more for anything else that could possibly happen.
So am I understanding this properly, Adam? And that, so if they go in and then they have 10%, if 10% is allowed for damage allowance, right?
Mhm.
So then they create let's say they create a damage. And then the staff managed contingency, that's when the city of Englewood has to repair that damage, or are they responsible to repair that?
So they're responsible to pay it up to that damage allowance value of about $30,000, which, so that should allow them to repair, we don't expect them to damage a lot. It would, galvanized lines would be the most likely to get damaged, and there are not a lot of those in our service area.
So when you say staff managed, I don't understand. Is that managing people or is it managing products?
No, it's the staff, it's our internal staff giving authorization to say, yes, if there's something outside of, that contract amount that the contractor is having to deal with, like say traffic control for whatever reason gets out of hand, we would have the authority to execute a change order through that staff managed contingency. We're really just looking for the authorization for that full amount, so that because this is at the level that it would go back to city council, we wouldn't go back and
Go
immediately.
back and forth.
Yeah,
So you're
until,
leaving room for
yeah,
that.
we're leaving room for that.
So, okay, thank you
Yep.
for explaining that, Sarah. I appreciate that.
Any further questions? All right. For the motion, can we go back or put the motion up? Just, I don't know if it matters. So the written agenda is slightly off, I think, on the total amount. It said 326, 340, but I think the one on the screen is the proper amount. So can I get a motion to recommend that city council approve by motion a contract for services with Global Underground Corp for potholing services in the amount of $299,145, including approval to execute change orders to expend a 10% staff managed contingency of $29,915 for a total project authorization of $329,060.
Motion.
Take it.
I'll second.
Further discussion? I'm sorry, I missed that.
Oh,
Further discussion? Okay,
Never mind, I said I took Marjan's second to motion.
okay, very good. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, 5E.
Okay, so this item is for as-needed development review support. So last year, we initiated a third-party firm to help us with development reviews as we are ramping up capital execution. So we look to a third-party engineering firm to help us with development reviews so that we can move our staff time to capital execution. So a little background on development in Englewood. Every single residential, commercial, industrial development, redevelopment that's ADU through a larger multifamily development gets reviewed by utility staff. We make sure that there's adequate capacity in our water system. We can serve them, as well as there's adequate capacity in the sewer collection system. There's been about 300 reviews over the past year. So we initiated a contract with JMT is the engineer as our third-party consultant. They were competitively selected through a solicitation last year to provide these services, and we contracted with them for $90,000 back in September. So we are coming around on that renewal, and their scope of work is really everything from the very beginning of a development review. They meet with that development review team, coordinate with them and the developer throughout the review process, ensure there's system capacity, review permits, review the plans, and coordinate with the developer to make those, ensure that the developer's meeting all of our standards as a utility. So just a quick comparison of the number of reviews in 2021 through 2022. We did approximately 400 reviews, and that was all done by internal staff. So last year we initiated this contract and have done over 300 reviews for the $90,000 contract, but that has also included some review time by internal staff. We'd like to increase that for the next year, so September 2023 through September 2024, just to account for maybe an increase in development reviews, and really a way to make sure that we've got adequate support as those development reviews come in and as we're executing capital. So the $150,000 is an up to amount. We're not necessarily anticipating to spend that much. And in fact, last year we put into place that developers now reimburse us for our staff time as well as our third-party engineering consultant. So this does not impact ratepayers because we have added that additional process where developers have to reimburse us for those costs. So with that, I will open it up for questions.
So do you guys review it first and then you hand it out to the second party to review it? And,
Yeah,
I
so-
mean, pre-selection is by you guys?
So the third party reviewer, we are in kind of constant communication with them. So we'll assign them various development reviews.
So you guys are the first filter?
Yeah, we will see it first.
And then it goes to them and then they analyze them. to see
Correct.
if they're-
Yep, and then anything that they send back, any comments or communication, we're always copied on those and we keep track of that as well.
And we review their comments before they're submitted back to the developers.
Okay. So the the difference of $60,000, you're looking at 150 more companies. So you're considering that increase, looking at the ratios and versus the inflation and the increasing of the, that is, I'm pretty sure is considered in there, right?
Sure. So, and the time that it takes for a development review to occur depends on the size of it. So for larger ones, it's going to take more time, more of that consultant's time. For smaller ones, ADUs and duplex and things, a lot of those we handle in-house. We do that with internal staff. So yes, that 150, if it really depends on what's coming in and we can't predict that. So we're just trying to put us in a place that gives us enough support to get through the majority of the reviews.
Thank you, sir.
Question, do we run into many clay pipes?
Our sewer mains are all made out of clay. Yeah, sewer mains are mostly clay pipe. It's probably clay pipe.
Mains are?
Yes. And the majority of them would be clay, actually.
Yes, mine was clay.
Yeah.
Then this
And the service lines would be
switched to
clay.
PVCs after that, I believe. Am I correct? After that, you switched to PVCs?
We switched to PVC now, but the majority of what's in the system currently would be clay pipe.
Clay pipe,
Yeah, that's what's still,
but they're not using that now.
they're not using it now. You can, but, no, we're not.
You don't mind roots and all kinds of
And all
stuff
kinds
in
of
there.
problems and sags, yeah.
Have it rooted every few years.
Such the voice of
Sounds like a
experience.
experience to it.
Any further discussion, questions? Great. Can I get a motion to recommend the city council approve by motion a professional services agreement renewal with Johnson? Meerman. I'm getting echo. And Thompson for as needed development review support for the utilities department and the amount of 150,000.
So moved.
I'll second.
Wonderful. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. 5F.
Okay, this next item is a contract for services renewal on as needed or on-call water distribution system services. So a little bit of background to the 2020 master plan recommended we put in place programs for annual water line replacement, valve replacement, and an annual valve inspection and exercising program, all of which we have implemented over the last couple of years. And then we've also been managing emergency water line repairs, and we do that with a combination of distribution and collection staff, as well as 3 on-call contractors. We'd like to change our approach to the on-call contractor for these services. So The selection process for on-call contractors started in November 2021. We selected 3 contractors for on-call contracts, both in 2021 and 2022, and that's Brannan, CNL, and Global. And CNL has really been the most responsive in emergency situations. They were selected as a part of, or as the contractor for our valve replacement project, and they are nearly complete with that project as well. They've repaired the majority of the water line breaks that's not performed by in-house staff, and they offer competitive prices. They're just been a really great contractor for all of the water distribution system work. So what we'd like to do is increase their contract so that they are our primary on-call contractor, and they can perform emergency repairs as well as do valve replacement as we plan for it in 2024, and do shorter areas of line replacement as well. So our recommended contract amount for this is $1 million, and so that would be from September 2023 through September 2024. Like I said, their scope would be emergency water line repair, valve replacement, distribution system replacements. And then for our emergency on-call contract renewal, we intend to renew with Brannan Construction for $90,000. There wouldn't be any change to their scope of work. They would strictly be an emergency on-call, and they'd really be backup support if the distribution and collection staff and CNL could not repair a water main break. We do not intend to renew a contract with Global. They're a good contractor, but they just aren't really set up for this emergency response type work, because the water main break, could happen anytime, day or night. So they just haven't been able to get crews out when we needed them. So with that, I will open it up for questions.
Any questions? All right, doesn't sound like we have any. So could we get a motion to recommend the city council approve by motion a contract for services renewal with CNL Water Solutions, Inc. for emergency or as needed repairs and or replacement of the City of Englewood's water distribution system in the amount not to exceed $1 million.
As long as I don't have to pay for it myself, I'll move.
That was actually my question. The money that it comes from that, because I think last month I asked that question about the emergency fund, where there's the emergency fund comes from, and how does that affect the residents?
Sure. So, this $1 million is assigned to one of our capital line items. So we have a water distribution system capital line item in our budget for next year.
Was that the one that was approved by the city council?
So the budget for 2024 has not yet been approved by city council. The budget hearing was last night. And so we'll go through approvals for the next few weeks. But in our recommended budget, we had a line item for water distribution system. And so this contract would fall under that item. So it's not emergency fund. It's already in our capital plan. So we know that we need to go replace some valves, do some minor repairs to the distribution system. And then there's also, emergencies that do happen, but that's absorbed within our budget. We have a separate line item in the O&M budget that is for water line repair as an emergency.
So basically this is the way you forecast, and this is not going to increase additional to people's bills.
So the capital budget and the operations costs are all put into the financial plan. So we have talked about here with the board and as well as city council ongoing rate increases of about 4.5% per year. So that is our recommendation for 2024 as well. But these types of costs and contracts are built into that financial model.
So that 4.7% increase, is that included? So is the inflation is included in there, or is that would be additional?
So we do account for inflation on all of our operations line items. And then the capital line items, we have a budget that we put in place as we plan out for the 5-year, we increase that by inflation to make sure that we can account for that with our rate increases and the financing that we've put in place.
Thank you, sir.
Any further questions?
I think we need a second on that. I second it.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. I lost track. 5G, this is our letter Z.
This is our letter Z, correct. So this last item tonight is an on-call electric service contract task order. So this is the first time we're bringing a task order to Water and Sewer Board. As you recall, last month we renewed the electrical integration and controls series of contracts. Those are all on-call contracts for work done at the Allen Water Treatment Plant and at our remote facilities. And within those contracts, they amount to a couple $1 million. Well, we want to manage that to certain line items that we've put into our budget. And we, as we put in, or as we discussed that renewal, one of the things that we did make sure that we included was that when we are bringing a task order that is this large, this will be over 100,000, that we bring it to this board as well as City Council for approval, so that you understand what we're spending those on-call funds for. So this particular item is for the purchase and installation of a variable frequency drive at the Allen Water Treatment Plant. Our Zone 1 Pump 1 VFD has overheated and is it needs repair. It's potential that we need to replace, we're assuming we need to replace the whole thing. We're not currently running that pump as it is a redundant pump, but that is critical because if another pump goes down, we would need it to pump water into Zone 1. We do intend to replace all the VFDs in the finished water pumps in the plant over the next 2 years. But because of lead time, I think this is about a 4-month lead time, we'd like to order this one in advance of that. So this is an on-call contract, or this falls under the on-call contract with Gilmore for an amount of $142,888. So that is purchase, shipping, and installation of that VFD. So with that, I'll open it up for any questions.
So you're gonna replace both?
Yeah, so there's three pumps that go into Zone 1, so we'll replace all 3 eventually. We also have two Zone 2 pumps, is that right? Four Zone 2 pumps that we will replace those as well.
Okay. Okay.
Sarah, can you just kind of clarify for me how the task order is working? Am I understanding that there's already an approved on-call contract with this company?
Correct.
And this is just this, and you're just saying because it's over 100,000, you're just calling out for further approval of the specific use of funds.
That is correct. So we issue task orders against these on-call contracts throughout the year based on who can perform the work, what kind of work it is. And so typically we're not at this level for a task order. So this is such a large purchase and effort to get it installed that we want to just make sure that the board and council are aware that this is a larger purchase against that overall contract.
Is it possible you could be in a situation where there's an emergency need for something over 100,000, and would you still have to go through this kind of extra approval? Like if it's emergency on-call stuff?
If it's emergency, we would, through coordination with the city manager, we would make that purchase and then we would come back to this board and to city council and just present what it was that we purchased and why it was considered an emergency.
Perfect. Okay, so the desire is to do this, get pre-approval, but push come to shove in an emergency, you've still got the ability to operate.
That's right.
Thank you. Appreciate the clarification. Any further questions? All right. Can we get a motion to recommend city council approved by motion task order number 1 with M. Gilmore Electric LLC to furnish and install a new Allen Bradley variable frequency drive for zone 1 at the Allen Water Treatment Plant in the amount of $142,888.
A motion.
Second.
Any further discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. All right, we're moving on, no old business, we're moving on to staff's choice. Sarah will confirm, but I think we are diverting the Big Dry Creek discussion for another time when Peter can be with us. Is that correct?
That's correct. So we will push that one again to next month.
All right. The look ahead schedule is there. Sarah, do you have anything else under staff's choice?
That is it. So I will just mention that the agenda is quite full currently for October as well. I'm assuming that the majority of these things will actually come to the board next month. So it will be another full agenda. So I appreciate your patience tonight, as well as look forward to next month.
Yeah, and building on that, so let's if anyone is going to have trouble staying beyond the hour next month, just give Brenda a heads up to make sure we can maintain a quorum through the end if we end up having to run a little late next month. Board members' choice, is there anything any board member would like to raise? Hearing none, then I believe we stand adjourned. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate your service and your time. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
Thank you for the copies.
Sure, yes. We learned our lesson last time.
It's very, very helpful. Thank you.